ongoing efforts to address the crisis in Gaza, the Yemeni army has pursued a strategy aimed at securing a ceasefire by controlling essential commodity shipments crucial to Israel's economy via the Red Sea route. Despite facing warnings and the risk of preemptive strikes from the United States and British Royal Navy, Yemen has maintained its stance, intensifying efforts and adopting new tactics to manage emerging threats. Our commitment to highlighting overlooked stories in the media remains firm. Join us in raising awareness by engaging with and sharing this content. Subscribe to stay updated on developments in Palestine. Recent shifts in tactics reportedly aim to defend against potential preemptive actions by adversary forces within Yemen. Hamas news investigations have noted increased military activities across different regions in Yemen. There's observable movement by the Houthis to conceal operational bases while expanding drone surveillance in the country's airspace, purportedly as a precaution against potential Western interventions. In light of these developments, the Yemeni military seems to be adjusting its operational strategies. This was evident in the recent incident involving container ships en route to occupied Palestine. During a counter-offensive in the Red Sea, a container ship, allegedly ignoring warnings to avoid the area of hostilities, was targeted successfully. According to British maritime security firm Ambri, a Malta-flagged container ship reported witnessing 3 explosions in the vicinity of Yemen's Mocha, with the vessel master communicating with a coalition warship via VHF. Ambri indicated that 3 missiles were apparently fired from Yemen's Taiz governorate. A nearby vessel reported sighting a small boat, roughly 50 meters long, with 2 lights, close to the incident site shortly afterward. The United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations (UKMTO) organization also received reports of up to 3 explosions 1 to 5 nautical miles from a merchant vessel in the Bab al-Mandab Strait, 33 nautical miles east of Eritrea's Assab. This operational explanation sheds light on Yemen's adoption of new tactics to exert pressure on the occupying authority and its supporters, creating a sense of uncertainty. There seems to be a shift in Yemen's approach to ship engagements, moving away from larger groups to smaller, more dispersed forces, possibly aimed at minimizing the risk of coordinated strikes on soldiers. Recent incidents suggest a change in strategy, where Yemeni forces initiate projectile firing before boarding ships, as opposed to the previous method of swarming commercial vessels in larger groups. Additionally, there's a reported inclination to target ports before ships depart, ostensibly as a warning against traveling to occupied Palestinian territories. This modified approach may be seen as a more effective way to convey warnings and potentially minimize losses, especially considering anticipated interventions by entities like the United Kingdom. Yemen's actions aim to impose costs on the occupying force for its actions in Gaza, portraying a stance of support for the oppressed Palestinians. The impact of Yemen's actions on the occupation's economy and global trade is significant. The Red Sea route accounts for a substantial portion of global maritime trade, approximately 12% worldwide, with an estimated $1 trillion in goods passing annually through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, near the Houthi-controlled western Yemen coast, constituting about 40% of global maritime trade. Beyond the trade impact, there's a notable shift in insurance dynamics for occupation ports due to Yemen's counter-offensive. Shipping companies now face a considerable increase in insurance costs, nearly a 250% surge in shipping coverage expenses. Occupation ports, akin to Russian and Ukrainian ports, are experiencing similar risk assessments by insurance companies. Premiums for war risk have escalated to around 1% of the shipload value, reflecting the increased risk perception. Red Sea shipping premiums have risen to 0.7%. Ansarallah has purportedly stated that these escalations in insurance costs could cease if the United States and occupation forces withdraw from Gaza, allowing humanitarian aid access to the besieged territory.
The region, from a Houthi perspective, First of all, they want to support Palestine and stop Israel's enablers and indicate that they can have an impact on global economy. But also secondary objective is to also part of the negotiation with Saudi Arabia and the truce in Yemen. So they also have an eye on that. And potentially this mission will go ahead, and it's going ahead. But you can actually see that why Saudi Arabia and Egypt and other Arab countries not want to be part of any coalition that is perceived to protect Israeli shipping, for example. So I think this mission will go ahead, but a lot of people have doubts about the potential durability and success in the long term.
However, the implementation of this seemingly straightforward demand by America remains challenging. The perceived failure to prioritize humanitarian concerns and the vetoing of global calls for a humanitarian ceasefire further complicates the situation. Consequently, there's a growing belief that pressuring the occupation through force might be the only viable solution. Moreover, several nations are declining participation in the US-led Operation Prosperity, aimed at countering what is perceived as Houthi aggression in the Red Sea. Apart from France, Spain and Italy, another Middle Eastern nation has rejected reported pressure to join an anti-Palestine alliance. Egypt recently declined an Israeli proposal to join the US-led maritime coalition, formed ostensibly to safeguard shipping in the strategic Red Sea, following Yemen's retaliatory attacks on occupation-associated vessels supporting Palestinians in Gaza. Despite an Israeli delegation's visit to Cairo to discuss Egypt's involvement, the country opted against active participation, leaving Bahrain as the lone Arab nation agreeing to join the coalition. The multinational task force has encountered challenges with hesitant member participation and a lack of interest from regional Arab states in joining the coalition. Yemen's defense minister, Major General Mohammed al-Atifi, cautioned foreign forces against supporting the occupation entity in the Red Sea maritime theater, stressing the Yemeni armed forces' vigilant monitoring of American, British and French military movements in the region. In response to the Yemeni offensive, the occupation authorities have sought United Nations assistance despite previously disregarding the organization's directives throughout the crisis. The UN Security Council has called for an emergency meeting to discuss Red Sea security. The U.S. mission to the United Nations spokesperson, Nate Evans, expressed concerns about the legitimacy of Yemen's counteroffensive. However, the Yemeni resistance continues its operations despite such statements. Following a recent attack on a Maersk vessel, major shipping companies like Denmark's Maersk and Germany's Hapag-Lloyd have announced the avoidance of the Red Sea route leading to the Suez Canal. They've rerouted some sailings via Africa's Cape of Good Hope due to ongoing pressure from the Yemeni military on cargo vessels in the Red Sea. This disruption raises concerns about increased delivery costs and the potential for global inflation. Maersk temporarily halted all Red Sea sailings for 48 hours after the Yemeni army's attempted boarding of the Maersk Hangzhou. Support our efforts by engaging with and sharing this content. Subscribe to stay informed about the latest Palestine developments. Until our next update, wishing peace to all.